All right. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and Overwatch haters. Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back. So today we're going to be reacting to the newest drop from the Overwatch team, the Overwatch 2 Director's Take. So season 4 is ending, season 5 is starting soon, and they're going to describe to us how they're going to go forward balancing. So obviously we have to address the elephant in the room, and that is that Overwatch has kind of shot itself not even in the foot, more just in their own face. After they dropped the bombshell news, which I reacted to on this channel, that PvE was essentially dead, even though we are getting a version of it, it's not what we were expecting or what we were promised. So after they did that, almost everybody collectively wrote off the game. Now, this being the internet, obviously we're going to have some sympathizers, but even the sympathizers are getting like put under the torch and they're getting their asses lit on fire. I have seen almost every YouTuber react, other YouTubers react to the reactions, me react to it. Like everyone is just upset. Everyone is very upset with Overwatch, and now Blizzard's back is against the wall. Overwatch is probably in one of the worst states it's going to be in because I think players, at least important players, are leaving in mass, and it's affecting its online presence on the internet. On the internet, Overwatch is viewed now in like the YouTube sphere and the the content creation sphere as just like, okay, this game is done. Like, it's just gonna be like a casual thing, which is what it was pushed towards anyway. But they're like, okay, now this is hardcore casual, and all the serious people, or most of them, are basically leaving. Samito's leaving, Flats is leaving, the Flounder. So all these people are leaving. So at this point, Overwatch is basically, I'm assuming, in panic mode. They're gonna hope to God they can pull something out their ass to bring people back. Now, this is where the big question comes in. Does Blizzard have what it takes to come back from the brink? I'll always relate this back to Destiny because this is what Destiny does. Destiny, the game, always somehow takes its golden goose and they fuck it up. They fuck it up, and then on the brink of death, when the game's about to die, when they're losing money, they have like next to no money, the workers are overworked, they have nothing left, they somehow churn out some good yearly DLC to bring everyone back and open their wallets again. I feel like in Overwatch, that might be what happens. Now, I'm not sure, right? I don't know. I can't tell the future. But there's one thing Blizzard does well, and again, look at Destiny. It's that when their backs against the wall, they can push out some creative ass shit. So they know right now the fire's lit under their ass as well, and they got to make some changes to the game to either A, convince people to stay, or B, bring people back. But I don't know if it's still in time. I think it might be too late. But anyway, enough lollygagging. Let's see what's going on here. So we're just going to read this big block wall of text and we're going to react to it in peace. Now, I haven't read any of this. I don't know any of this. I wish it was a video, but it is what it is. So let's see what's going on. As season 4 ends. Oh, who wrote this, by the way? Oh, so who wrote this was I guess director. So that is what, Aaron Keller, I think. I believe Aaron Keller is the director. But as season 4 ends, I'd like to take a look at the game's balance. So this is a widely debated topic right now. The game's balance, for the most part, again, this is where I'm just hearing the opinions of the YouTubers and the big content creators because they're the biggest. You're gonna hear them, right? They all want 6v6 to come back. They don't agree that 5v5 was like, it was new, but they prefer 6v6 because it was a higher skill ceiling. I'm looking at you, Sabito. But it's a curious thing. I don't personally think Blizzard will ever bring that back unless the game is literally like on the brink of death. But at that point, they might as well just revert fucking Doom to DPS, which they're not going to do that either. But yeah, a big thing is right now the balance has been leaning towards and has been made towards just being more casual, which again is driving all the serious people away. So let's see what they're going to say about the game's balance. If I had to just take a snapshot of it right now, I think DPS is probably, this is the weird part, right? Because I've heard mixed opinions, but to me, I think DPS is the least impactful role. I think DPS fucking sucks. I think it needs to be buffed. I think tank is probably the most important role. If the tank is dead, you lose the fight. You can't win the fight. The tank is the most important role in the game. And then second to that is obviously healers because they enable the tank. It's a very tank-centric game, in my opinion, from what I see. So, Hopefully they buff DPS. Because I used to be a DPS player, but now I'm a tank main. So this season we saw a wide selection of heroes get played. I wonder where they're getting that from, like actual statistics from the game or from pro play. I hope this isn't Riot Games. And for the most part, the game felt fairly balanced. So they're probably going to do this bullshit that every company does, where they're like, oh, we think it's in a good spot, but we think it could be better. Like they're going to pat themselves on the back, but always say they need improvement. They're going to play both sides. From a win rate perspective, season 3 and 4 were some of the most balanced in recent, quote unquote, Overwatch history. I don't know what's recent to them because for fucking 3 whole years, nothing happened. So, with this in mind, let's look at 3 different topics from season 4 and talk about how they will change in season 5 and beyond. So, again, the biggest changes I think are coming in season 6 in terms of what's actually happening to the game. I think that's when they're adding all the story stuff in, but I don't remember because, we can't see past our flying blind rage at the removal of PvE, so I don't specifically remember. But anyway, specifically, I like to go over the heroes Junker Queen, which is massively strong right now, Lifeweaver, which is massively weak right now, One-Shots, which are getting slowly phased out of the game, look at Roadhog, and crowd control abilities in 5v5. So, when they say crowd control, I'm a little confused because the biggest issue that Overwatch team had with Overwatch 1 was there was too much CC, there was too much shielding. They could have easily balanced that out and not made it 5v5, but 5v5 was really like, okay, we're going full nuclear option, so they're changing all the tanks to have less CC and they're removing a tank. So they really went all the way. So if they're not increasing crowd control, if they're actually decreasing it even further, I'm going to be a little surprised. Anyway, there were a few standouts from a tuning perspective in Season 4. In the mid-season patch, Junker Queen was given a series of buffs, and she started to dominate, which is good. They gave her a mythic, so she should. Her win rate popped up by about 5%. Now, for those of you not familiar with game design and balancing, 5% is a big amount. That is a big jump. Because ideally, what these people do, and not just Overwatch team, I'm talking any competent balance team, they try and get it as close as they can to 50%. Obviously, if it's a little above or if it's a little below, that's fine. A champion is going to be weak or strong, or sorry, I'd rather say hero. A hero is going to be, weak or strong, but they try and aim for 50%, which is perfectly balanced, which is impossible. But that's what they try and aim for. They're never going to hit it, but they try and go towards that. And for Junker Queen to go a full 5%, typically the variance, for what I've seen, and I'm basing my knowledge off of League of Legends, the variance I've seen in terms of like what's acceptable is, ironically enough, I would say in the 5% range. If anything is above a 5% from 50, so 55 and above or 45 and below, it's massively overpowered or severely underpowered and ass. So for Junker Queen to just raise herself by 5% win rate is pretty big. That means the changes definitely helped her. So what are they saying here? Her win rate popped up. So she went from being one of the lowest picked tanks to one of the highest. And I'd also like to say she's one of the most fun. For most skill tiers, Queen and Reinhardt, somehow he's still in the meta, were 2 of the most picked tanks for the latter half of the season. However, at Masters and above, Queen is far and away the most picked tank. One of the big changes that we made was to increase the healing received from her passive, which I liked. I personally thought her passive healing her before was basically like Tickle Me Elmo healing, which did almost nothing. Like you'd rather it's almost like taking it away because you wouldn't notice the difference. It was so niche because the healing was so low, why even have it, right? Like it doesn't feel like a passive, it feels like a joke, which is what Overwatch did to themselves by removing PvE. But anyway, we like this addition to her playstyle, but it makes Queen too survivable. So we'll be reducing the health she receives from Commanding Shout from 200 to 150 to compensate. Okay, so they're actually telling us like hard what they're going to do. I think this is fair for Junker Queen personally. I think, because they gave her so much strength in one spot and she's strong overall, I'm glad they're not taking it away and they're just going somewhere else and taking power from there. I think that's good. Now, my question is it only taking it away from Junker Queen or is it taking it away from everyone? Is everyone losing 50 health that gets shouted at by Junker Queen? And you know what she's shouting? Why did Overwatch remove PvE? But anyway, we'll also be increasing the cost of her ult by a small amount since she is getting it up faster rate than before because she's healing herself for more. Honestly, I think this is fine. Okay, let's get to Lifeweaver. So Lifeweaver, I think they took a step in the right direction by changing his auto, or his primary fire, to be switchable instead of a number. I'm talking about PC perspective here. I don't understand why you had to alternate your fire to use like your primary attack. It was so dumb. The new control scheme they put out was like a godsend, and I think they deserve props for that, but not for taking away PvE. I'm gonna say all this shit about PV for the whole video. However, like, I'll be honest, I wasn't even gonna buy it. And the fact that like it did what it did, obviously it's not right principle wise, but I'm actually benefiting from this because I wasn't gonna buy the original PvE. And as far as I know, I mean, I don't think they would dare do this, but as far as I know, they're not gonna charge for whatever the new thing is. So I'm literally just straight benefiting. I wasn't gonna get it before, now I'm gonna get whatever it is now for free. So net plus for me. I'm still gonna flame them though. I'm still gonna rip them a new one because a lot of people are upset, and I am a man of principle, if nothing else. So, Lifeweaver is a really dynamic hero. So before we get into what they're saying about Lifeweaver, let me say my own opinions here. So, Lifeweaver is a very unique person. I think the strongest part of his kit is the life grip. The ability to make your teammate invulnerable, to basically be like a guardian angel, not like Mercy, and actually be able to save them if they're like being stupid or they get caught out. I think it's invaluable. Like, you could really do some like really good saves and like fuck up the enemy with it. The problem is he's so hard, and I don't think he excels at really anything else. I remember the biggest thing, and this could be just because I'm stuck in elo hell and like in low plat or in mid plat. I used to be diamond, but the game sucks. Um, but maybe it's because I'm not in high enough elo. But the pedal platform, everyone was raving about it. Everyone was going crazy, like, "Oh, look, the pedal platform, the pedal platform, bruh." But fuck the pedal platform. This shit sucks. Like, I haven't seen anyone really use this. If anything, it's more just used just because you have it. I really have not seen a situation where it's either decided something. It's annoying, sure, but I feel like it's not too good. People really overhype that shit. Or maybe people still didn't learn how to use it, who knows. But Lifeweaver really is just the life grip, which is, the pull. I think his ult sucks absolute ass. His ult you can still die in. Like, it's so dumb. If you're a Roadhog, you literally just clear it if you want to. It's really bad. Sombra can just ult it, take it out. It's just ridiculous. I think Lifeweaver is high skill cap. Too high skill cap to be particularly useful. But like I said before in his reveal, which I also reacted to on YouTube, I love everything else about him. I hate his gameplay. I think they knocked it out of the park with everything else. But anyway, some of the plays that people have pulled off with him during the season, off during season 4, were pretty astonishing. And here's what they're gonna do. I guarantee you, this is what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like, "Oh, we think we did good with Lifeweaver, but he needs some improvement." They're gonna play both sides again. However, he's not powerful enough to be a solid pick for most players. Okay, that's very true. Previously, we stated that we would like there to be a reason to pick new heroes over others in the roster. See, this is where I agree. And this is where I think game creators kind of pigeonhole themselves into things. When a game's in its infancy, there's so many new options and avenues to explore with new characters, but once you have a game like League of Legends and Overwatch where a lot of niches are covered, you either have to be very, very creative and, paid a lot of money to do that, which the people at Overwatch probably are, or, you know, it tends to be redundant, which is what's happening in League. A lot of people share the same sort of niche, share the same sort of passives. Overwatch, I don't know if we're going to hit that, but I feel like Lifeweaver is somewhat of an amalgamation of that. Again, aside from the life grip. But, yeah, they make a good point here where, like, I think this is one thing that Overwatch has actually nailed pretty well. Now, obviously, when I'm comparing it to League, League has like 160 plus champions. Overwatch doesn't even get near the 100 mark. So, Overwatch definitely has a lot more to work for, but it's a different type of game. So, again, one thing I will give props to Overwatch here for is every character feels unique and they feel different. It doesn't feel like characters are necessarily repeated. And sometimes, the fact that they're so simple but work so well is really the mastery of the Overwatch team. Unlike when they took out PvE, which was a complete blunder. Anyway, so, what are they saying? This is still our goal for new heroes. We want them to bring something new to the table. However, at the moment, we are looking for the best way to bring Lifeweaver to a baseline. Once people are playing him more, we will get a cleaner read on the character. Players will either start utilizing the varied parts of his kit, which they aren't right now, or we can look into adding something into it. So my fear with Lifeweaver is he already does a lot. So because he does a lot, he can't do everything well. He has to do everything at like a mediocre level. Because he's a jack of all trades, a master of none. If you start making him a jack of all trades and a master of some, he's just going to start eclipsing people. He's just going to be OP. Like, I don't know if they're going to do that number wise. I don't know if they're going to rework parts of his kit. But the main way I see them doing it is honestly number wise. They're just going to stat number buff him, and then it's going to be over. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. In Season 5, there will be quite a few changes, mostly buffs, coming to Lifeweaver. We'll have specific details in the patch notes, but players can expect increases to his healing, which is a big problem with him, and damage output, which I didn't think he needed. A heal on life grip, a slightly reduced hitbox, and some quality of life changes to pedal platform. Interesting. Excuse me. So, what do I think of these changes? I think the heal on life grip is good because let's say you life grip someone and they're really low. Yeah, they have the initial vulnerability from like getting killed at first, but once they pop out of your invulnerability and they're still within line of sight of the enemy, which honestly depends on you and the situation, but isn't far-fetched at all, they're just gonna get killed right after too. So honestly, having the heal I think is a big help. His damage output I think was fine. He's not supposed to be a damage dealer. His healing definitely needed to be increased. I think with Lifeweaver, you can't really use your primary unless, you're literally getting jumped, you have no one helping you. Because it's just like you need to be healing at all times on this character to keep up in healing because his healing is so low. His healing is the main thing I dislike about him. You charge it up for so long and you don't get any real satisfaction from it because it heals like Wiener. And it's like, what the hell? But anyway, the reduced hitbox, I fucking hate that. I say that because I think it's a good change because, oh my god, I'm so bad at hitting the small people in Overwatch with the small hitboxes. It's so annoying. But anyway, I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do to Pedal Platform, but hey, if they make it better, they make it better. I think it needs to be better. So, we'll continue to monitor both Junker Queen and Lifeweaver and make additional changes if necessary. Okay, cool. This is one thing that Overwatch, I'll kind of fault them on here. So, for the longest time, the community always said, like, okay, they're doing this, they're doing that. Maybe it's not the level we want, maybe it's not as good as we want. Oh, it's because they're spending all their resources on PvE. It's all going there, guys. Don't worry. Once they're done with that, they'll come back and the multiplayer will get significantly better. It'll get more attention, yada, yada, yada. Here's the issue with this. They knew and they stopped working on the PvE over a year and a half ago. So for a year and a half and then some, they've been working on the multiplayer and probably the new PvE stuff. But for the most part, the PvE, the big grand poobah like huzzah that they were doing, that was impossible to do unless they were God, basically freed up, it took a lot of their resources, which were now freed up after they stopped. So where the fuck did these resources go? The game came out in beta, and boy, it was a beta, and I've mentioned this a lot before, where it had a lot of issues. And the game, it got better over time, but Overwatch likes to portray, one, they're an indie company, like they don't have the resources, as if maybe, it's the heads over there like Bobby who are saying like, okay, don't give them more money, don't give them more resources, we just want to milk the cash cow. That could be the case. But Overwatch likes to go particularly slow with certain things that I just question, like, why are you guys the exception? Now look at League, right? League has slowed down its champion releases, but they have a patch every 2 weeks. Now again, they have way more champions and a way more different game. But at the end of the day, I feel like Overwatch makes such a big deal of their patches, but they come so infrequently. On the opposite flip side of the coin, you could say like, oh, if the game is patched too often, then the characters are going to change and people need to get used to them over and over. I get that. But I'm just talking about like, I don't know. I feel like the way they update Overwatch is so long when it could be a lot shorter, and I don't know where the work is going. And I think that's people's biggest question ever since they canceled doing PvE is where was the work going when the people were freed up? It better be on the new PV, but already that's like almost doomed to fail on the start, on arrival. But we're gonna see. So let's see what they're doing. The community has also voiced concerns over the number of one-shots. Oh, they're just bitching. From both Widowmaker and Hanzo. Okay, listen. If you're getting headshots on Widowmaker and Hanzo, maybe Widow is the one exception, but even then you have to wait for it. You have to charge it up. But Hanzo, you need to be skilled on Hanzo to be getting headshots. You should be rewarded for being good. But anyway, we'd like to reduce the frequency of these in-game as well as shore up some of the extreme sightlines in some of our maps. Widow's damage fall off will change from 70 to 100 meters to 40 to 60. What the hell? The damage fall off scalar will also increase from 30 to 50. She will still have the ability to one-shot 200 health heroes at 50 meters or less. But further than that, it will no longer be a killing blow? What? So they're making DPSs weaker. I didn't say this in the beginning, but this is what I was going to say. I feel like the only thing that DPS does now is catch out. I feel like DPS, aside from May, because May's really good right now, aside from May, and even May can be seen as a sort of catch out, I feel like the only worth that the DPS role has is being a picking role or a catching out role. And by picking role, I mean like, you one shot an enemy. And you can't do it necessarily consistently, but you're able to do it somewhat frequently. So again, Hanzo and Widow. Hanzo and Widow can pick a person. Hanzo's a lot harder to do, I would say, but Widow, her main job is to pick people, right? Now she can kind of ignore the tank, she could snipe the tank if she wants, but the fact that you're not going to be able to headshot people at long range as the sniper and one-shot them is kind of weird to me. They're making like, I don't know, maybe this is more casual. Maybe it's the casuals complaining, oh no, this pro Widow sniped me and I died in one shot, what the hell? Like, bruh, I feel like they're making it so casual now. It's so stupid. Hanzo will receive a slight nerf to his damage so that he is no longer able to one-shot 250 health heroes. His Sonic arrow will also be more recognizable by the enemy team. The intent here is to reduce his kills that they feel like they come out of nowhere. We're constantly discussing the nature of one-shots in Overwatch 2 and whether they are healthy for the game in general. Yeah, I'm gonna basically tell you what they mean. We want to make the game more casual, and we're gonna keep pleasing the casuals until they stop complaining, which they never will, so I don't know what they're doing here. Lastly, I'd like to talk a bit about crowd control abilities in-game. Oh, good lord. So far, I'm not very happy where this has gone in this dev talk. I don't think this is gonna save Overwatch personally. I think people are gonna get more upset at Season 5 than like it so far. So, when we launched Overwatch 2, we made some significant changes to our combat model. The biggest switch, like they always keep shoving down our throats, was 6v6 to 5v5. Part of that change was to remove most of the crowd control abilities from our damage and support heroes. Overall, we think that this was a positive change to the game. At times, the original game felt like you were in a pinball machine, especially as DPS, but we have a lot of high mobility heroes in the roster, and a team can't always rely on their tank to take them. That's true. So we're softening our approach here. We don't want to return to the state of the game that the game was in, but we feel like there is room for more CC, especially soft CC in our lineup. I actually 100% agree. Thank God. We'll be making changes to both May and Cassidy in Season 5 with this in mind. May's endothermic cock gun will be updated. The primary fire will slow targets, but it will also build up an effect that will play a much larger slow. Wow. Players of the original game, this will feel familiar to the way her old weapon worked. So her old weapon used to literally just freeze you and kill you. Like, back in the day, DPSs were way better at killing. McCree's grenade and May's icicle creation, ironically enough, the two people they're touching here. So for players of the original game, okay, I already read that. Cassie's magnetic grenade will also be updated to deal less damage, as well as apply an effect that slows and blocks movement abilities. While that isn't necessarily a hard CC, that's also kind of a shutdown. Because what? Echo can't, like, fly away, Winston can't jump, Ball can't... Oh, god, fucking, I hate Ball. Honestly, this might be good for a Ball counter. Fuck Ball. Anyway, on top of these changes, we'll also be making some tweaks to several other heroes in Season 5. We can't wait for you to see them, and when the patch notes go live, which I'm probably going to review as well as the other fun things we have coming to the game that season, which God knows what that is. As always, thanks for the reading, and I'll see you in the game. I wonder if Aaron even plays the game. I don't know if anyone has actually seen him, or if they just say that. Do the devs play their own game? Honestly, I think at this point, and it's sad too because I feel like Aaron is the fall guy for all this shit, but at this point, if they go into game, like, it's better that they don't, because I can only imagine what people might say to him if they see him in game. I mean, of course, there's going to be some sympathizers, but anyway, looking at a broad level at all these things, let's see what really happened here. So, basically, Junker Queen's getting nerfed in decent ways, I would say, in okay ways, I would like to add. I'm actually okay with these nerfs. Lightweaver is getting buffed, which is a little tricky, but I think is needed. One-shots are getting nerfed, which I do not like at all, especially for the characters. And it's weird, too, right? Because I'm not good at these characters, so why do I care? I don't feel like these characters are oppressive, and if they are, it's because the player is good. Now, the question I always ask, and this is the question that was brought up with Sojourn, was how good do they have to be a menace, right? What's the threshold for like how good you are? And is there a limit? Like, okay, are you too good or is the character too broken if you're not that good? So, who knows? But they're weakening Hanzo and Widow, in my opinion, one of the highest skill or two of the highest skill ceiling characters aside from Genji. So I kind of don't like that. And then afterward, the CC that they're increasing. While I don't necessarily like McCree's doing less damage, because he's really losing his identity as like a person who picks people out. Now he's a person who again, like Roadhog, which is what they did to him, will help his team help pick them out. Or the Cassie could just headshot them, I guess. But I don't like the last part more than anything. But overall, I mean, these changes aren't anything crazy. This is again what feels like it should be in like a regular old patch, and I don't know if they should make a big deal out of this. But again, there's not much patches with Overwatch in general, so I guess they kind of have to, because there was nothing else really coming out, was there? So overall, I don't know. These changes are just whatever. The common sentiment this portrays that is just in the community in general now is like Overwatch is whatever. Who really cares? I mean, I'm still gonna cover it because I still like grinding it, getting the currency, but yeah, who really cares? Who cares about this shit? But anyway, that's gonna be it. I think these are okay. I mean, some of them are okay, some of them are whatever. But it's just it's just But anyway, we didn't have any other guests today because Jeff Kaplan is homeless. We haven't seen him. We don't know what he's doing. Jeff Goodman has dementia, so he's hopefully getting help. So this one is a little solo one. I tried to get some guests last second, but Technics channel can only do so much while working full time. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Right after this, I'm going to be live streaming on Twitch TV Technics channel. I'm going to be playing some O-dubs, surprise, surprise, and we're going to be grinding and have a good time. Come over there if you want to have a good time and have fun. Hope you enjoyed.